decision to abandon the prosecution was made in bad faith. On the same note, we see on June 29th, the DPP had said in a statement that there was sufficient evidence to warrant prosecution of the CEO and his alleged accomplices with 9 charges. However, we see from the story that the chief prosecutor now defends the Tanathi case withdrawal. Now, let me just give you a brief of what is in that story. The Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, Raison Igonga, yesterday defended the withdrawal of a case involving 292 million against Tana and Athi Water Works Development Agency Chief Executive, that is Patrick Muamati, and the 9 others. Now, please grab your copy and read more extensively on that story. Now, in the same page, a story by Sophie Njoka, that is storm over release of suspects in blogger sexual assault. Now, in Mombasa recently, we had seen where some people arrested involving, as they were suspected to be to assaulted the blogger. Now, the story is that the suspects are released, and there's now a brewing storm in Mombasa. Now, controversy has erupted following the release of 4 suspects in the high-profile sexual assault of a Mombasa blogger, a case that has gripped the nation. Now, the release of the suspects were Abdul Hassan Atman, Haji Babu Dau, Mohammed Esther Muthoni, and Violet Adera, was ordered by High Court despite the trial court's earlier directive to obtain a probation report to aid in its final decision. Now, here we see the High Court ordering for the release, while we see a trial court earlier had directed that they get more information for the case. Now, that is a story which is in page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. We have Senate asked to vacate orders on Kawira's ouster. Now, remember ouster. Now, remember some days, some weeks and months ago, there were cases about the impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza. Now, the Senate asked by the court to vacate orders on Kawira's ouster. Now, the story by Caroline Kubwa is that the Senate was yesterday urged by High Court to vacate orders reinstating Kawira Mwangaza as bona fide governor of Meru County. That's the Meru governor. Senate, through its lawyer, said the decision of the High Court cannot be vacated since it's final. Now, that's a story that you need to grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively. Now, moving into page 3, where we have edible oil, that is KNTC boss pressed on 6.6 billion loss. Now, acting manager director blames previous manager, saying they had made several mistakes. Now, the story is by Masimwai. The story key points in the story are: action should be taken against those who caused the loss, said Esther Okenyuri, that is the nominated senator. And also we have Betty Montet, sought to know whether KNTC had done an audit to find out how many Kenyans are suffering cancer for consuming substandard oil. Now, that's a story in page 3. Now, the story says Kenya lost more than 6.6 billion Kenya shillings in edible oil program initiated by the government to bring down the cost of commodity. Top officials of the Kenya National Trading Company admitted before the members of the Senate Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, chaired by Seki Lenku Olekanar, that while they spent 14.4 billion to import cooking oil, they had to sell it at a lower price. Now that's a story which I believe you need to take much serious and also read. And we also say, don't turn patients, Mulongo warns hospitals. Now the story by Ruben Mwambingu says that Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Mulongo has issued a stern warning to the public hospital against denying patients medical service due to social health insurance fund registration challenges as Kenyan transition from the defunct NHIF to the new system. Now Mulongo has warned and told the hospital not to turn away the patient. Now this was witnessed when he visited Mombasa and realized the challenge that patients and people of Kenya go through in order to transit from NHIF to SHIF. Now that's a story that I believe you can grab and read. Hospital paralyzed by strikes. Health services in Nandi County has been paralyzed after members of several trade unions kicks off a strike. More than 147 facilities were affected as health workers downed their tools to protest the county government's decision to expunge 600 of their colleagues from the payroll. Now that's also a story that I believe you'll find it interesting to read. Now moving into page 4, legislatures break Gachagua after vote to impeach. Now that is what most of us was expecting in the story. Now it is a historic move to see combined force of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio battalion crushing country's second in command. Now it was interesting, at the same time it was sad to say the deputy president being impeached by the members of the parliament. Now the fallout of Gachagua, they say Gachagua tore into the conduct of the president William Ruto, saying he learned from his boss. Now that's part of what Gachagua said, that whatever he did, he learned from his boss. And also we are told that he told the house that in the said will, his late brother directed that the hotel should be sold, among other properties, and proceeds distributed as per the will, of which I am also listed as beneficiary together with other persons named therein. Now those are some of what the deputy president came out to say. And also we see the deputy was accompanied by his lawyers led by Elisha Angoya, Paul Muite, Tom Kimani, Victor Swaya, and Ndegwa Njiru, among others. That is, the lawyers worked with him to the parliament. Now, let me give you a bit of what this story is all about, and the story is by the People Daily. Members of the parliament depicted Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as a dyed in the wool tribalist who refused to outgrow a self-inflicted attitude that he was not elected to be a leader of Mount Kenya, but as a second in command of a democratic nation that takes pride in its diversity. It says they depicted him as a polarizing leader full of primordial hubris, persuaded that only those who voted for the Kenya Kwanza administration should benefit from the government services. Parliament also portrayed Gachagua as a man with an insatiable appetite for wealth, using his high office and wide networks in business circles, and much more. These were just part of the allegations. Now, as it continued, we realized that a report which Millie Odhiambo gave in the parliament also showed something on which I'm going to show you. But yesterday, we saw that a total of 281 MPs voted for the impeachment of Deputy Gachagua. Now that and much more, please grab your copy and read to find out what happened. Now, we see also Deputy Speaker Sholei defends herself over remarks. A story by Anthony Mwangi. So it's another filler story there. It says, Deputy Speaker Gladys Sholei moved to defend herself against her brash remarks against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua outside, after saying that she would not be on the front line of showing him the door. Now, we had seen that Sholei, actually, in her heart, she didn't want to be part of what is happening. But that forms part of the story. Also read that story in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. Majority Kenyans support Deputy ouster. That is, the majority of Kenyans supported that the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua should be impeached. Now, public participation was conducted on Friday and Saturday last week, but the parliament extended that to Sunday. A story by Mercy Mwai shows that nearly 65% of Kenyans are in support of the impeachment motion leveled against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Document presented before the National Assembly yesterday showed. Now, the document which was presented by Millie Odhiambo, that is Suba North MP, showed that 290 constituency shows that out of 200, that is, let me take that again, exercise that took place in 290 constituency shows that 224 907,000 Kenyans who participated in the exercise depicted that 146,429 Kenyans, which sum up to 65%, supported the impeachment of the Deputy President. And also, we also did see that 76,026, that is summing up to 33%, opposed to impeachment of the Deputy President, while we also see that 420-something members, people of Kenya, actually did not want to be part of it. Now, that is part of the story that I believe you love to read. It also talks about how Gachagua was impeached. On the same note, on the same page, we have beleaguered Kericho governor to defend himself in the Senate via plenary next week. Now, remember, sometimes back last week, if I'm not wrong, Kericho governor was impeached by the members of the County Assembly of Kericho. Now, when this was moved into the Senate for the decision making, we learned that 11-member committee is going to be instituted to listen to the governor on grounds to merit whether he's supposed to be impeached or not, as he defends himself. Now, that's a story which I believe it is important. Please grab your copy and read more. Now, much of this is on the Deputy President. Now, moving on to page 6, pre-debate event with the media faulted. Now, the media is faulted in the pre-debate event with Deputy Gachagua. Speaker, that is Wetangula, says Gachagua should have exercised restraint given impeachment proceedings. Now that comes as the deputy president, a day before appearing before the parliament, had voiced out what he had in regards to his impeachment. That led to anticipating debate, and that shows that in his communication to the House, Wetangula noted that the deputy had spoken to the media the previous day and outlined his defense against impeachment motion. He also said, while Standing Order number 85 prohibits members from anticipating debate on motions for which notice has been given, the Speaker highlighted that this rule, when broadly interpreted, extends to non-member, especially those directly affected by such motion. Also, the Speaker emphasized that although he would not assume the role of a judge in this matter, he found Gachagua's action abhorrent given the gravity of the proceeding scheduled in the House. Now, that is part of what you need to read and find out more. Now, we also did see yesterday, as clerics call for come as MP debate Gachagua ouster. Now, that's also a story that you read there. Now, on the same page 6 of the People Daily newspaper, we see Mwangangi says now MPs actually shows they are captives of the State House. Now, that's what Mwangangi, who was opposed to the impeachment of the deputy president, now say. Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi has said the rush by the National Assembly to impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua proves that Parliament is held captive by the executive. Now, that's what he has to say, the Machakos Deputy Governor said in regards to that. Now, moving into page 7, a state accused of sleeping on job to arrest AFCON Stadia wrote. Now, the meaning report emerged that a time controversy has rocked Sports Kenya over tenure of its DG. Now, that is a story which I believe it is important for you to read, how millions and millions of money has been lost in matters to do with AFCON in regards to the preparation for African Cup of Nations, which is going to be co-hosted between Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Now, you need to read, grab a copy, and read much more of that story. Let's move very fast to People Daily editorial. That's quotes of the day. I'm going to read all the 2 quotes of the day. One from Mwangangi, that's the Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi said, this impeachment has now clearly shown us who our MPs are. We have leaders who no longer look at the issues affecting common persons, but from personal prisms. That's what he said. While litigant Susan Chipken says, whenever I demand for my share of our late father's estate, my younger brother tells me that I was born in the family and that I should go look for my biological father and mother. That is very sad. Now, grab your copy and look at that. Now we have the cartoon of the day. We have Ruto, we have Gachagua, and we have Raila Amolo Odinga. Our very own Moses, our very own Moses and the Red Sea. Now see that we see the Red Sea parting ways for Raila Amolo Odinga to walk through. I don't know what the cartoon is all about, but you can see and see. We have Ruto the other side, Gachagua the other side, while Agwambo anapita katikati. Please grab a copy and read. Now let us see the thought of the day. Nations are born in the hearts of poets. They prosper and die in the hands of politicians. That's the thought of the day. Please grab your copy and read much more. Concern over rise of deaths from NCDs. Cervical cancers leading cause of death among women, resulting in approximately 3,400 deaths annually. Now, a story by Samuel Karaoke. Please grab a copy and read that. The story says that NCD death increases. World Health Organization estimates that over 14 million people between the age of 30 to 70 dies every year from these diseases, with staggering 85% of the deaths. And also NCPD data shows that 33% of eligible adolescent girls and young women received the first dose in 2020. NCPD also said that screening for other female reproductive cancer has been conducted at a low pace. Now, that's a story which I believe you need to grab a copy and read much more extensively. Now, on the same page, we have a story where World Bank partners with AFDB to connect 3,000 meters African to electricity. 300 million Africans to electricity. That's a story by Samuel Karaoke. Please grab your copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively. Into business matters, that is Business Hub. Cost of loans to go down as CBK cuts the rates to 12%. I believe that's a plus for the business world and to the ordinary Kenyan. The MPC has been forced to lower its growth forecast for 2024 to 5.1% from the entire projection of 5.4%. Now, reduction of CBR fueled by the need to support economic activity ensures exchange rate stability. A story by Noel Wandera. Please grab your copy and read that story. We also have a story there also. Kenyan seeks IMF help to audit corruption and governance issues. Now, that's what we have there from the Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi. Please read that. Kisumu County orders temporary closure of Airbnbs to tame rising crimes. Now, please also grab your copy and read extensively on that. KPA announces new SGR freight rates to road traffic. Now, if you are to travel from Nairobi to Mombasa, I would urge you to consider SGR. Now, traffic have been reduced by more than $50 for service rendered to constant cargo destination to Nairobi's and inland container depot. Now, please grab your copy and read that and much more. We also say tourism gets boost as 250 hospitality sector employees graduates. Grab your copy and read that. On money matters, we also see China hits back at AU with tariff. It imposes tax on imports of European brandy in relations for recent taxes on Chinese e-vehicles. Now, get to read that and much more on matters to do with business. Also, we say in business matters, we say Standard Bank awards 1.25 million each to 7 women in technology startups. A story by Vanessa Sandra. Please get your copy and read that. Now, getting into the world news, where we have Israeli strikes kills dozens in Gaza. Now, that's a world story. It says that at least 30 people, including 6 children and 2 women, were killed near a central city of Deir el Bella overnight Al-Kar Mission Hospital reported after a house in Beruji refugee camp were struck. Now also medical sources told Al Jazeera that Israel military had killed 43 Palestinians across the enclave on Tuesday. Please get to read that story on World Matters. Now casualties brought overall deaths toll since the war was launched following Hamas attack on Israel. That's on from October 7th, 2023 to now. The death which has occurred is around 41,965 people have died in the expense of war that is ongoing. Please grab your copy and read that much more. North Korean Kim calls Putin closest comrade. Now get to read that and much more about matters to do with business. Now I'm going to move with speed, and let me call it supersonic speed, to see what we are having on the spot. Consistency and class. 3 decades in, Benjamin Magana's love for chess burns brighter than ever as he has to compete, coached, and mentored, leaving a lasting mark in the sport. Now read that story and find much more. Athletes speaks out as Betika moves to revive crumbling Kenyan stadia. You also got to read that story, and also we say Ulinzi Shark dominated with Letangeas scoring blitz in handball ladies league. Now that's a story that you injured setback. We see injured setback there. That's match on Gor Mahia. Now Austin Odhiambo's injury leaves coach fast scrambling for offensive option as Harambee Stars prepares for back-to-back AFCON qualifiers beginning this Friday. Now you got to see that and read much more of that story. Now let me get back. Football Kenya Federation and CAF addresses football security with innovative workshop. Now read also that story. As we see yesterday, Tanzania in Sekefa Championship under 20 hammered Djibouti 7-0. Get to read that and much more. Now Tom Aliwa unveils inclusive strategy in countdown to implementing FKF polls. We know FKF has been conducting elections. Now you can read much of that story. Brave Warriors battle. That is, Namibia seeks to revive its AFCON hopes against struggling Zimbabwe at Orlando Stadium. Both teams desperate for a point. Now that's what you have to read and much more. And lastly, Barry bolts out. FKF appoints veteran sports administrator Patrick Korir on interim basis as CEO to replace long-serving Otieno, who has stepped down. Barry Otieno has stepped down. Now, that is what we had for you in the People Daily newspaper. Remember to grab your copy and read much more extensively. Thank you for staying tuned to BTV Kenya. Thank you for following us on YouTube, BTV Kenya, and on Facebook page, Blackman TV Kenya, and also on other social media platforms like X and on TikTok, BTV Kenya. We are grateful for your support, and we are happy to know that you are watching with us. Have a wonderful Wednesday. God bless you. I'm your host, Gagi Zaya.